Right, obviously today we're going to be looking at perspective. This is super broad. Praise gave me zero thing to focus in on, so this is completely up to me. So this might make sense, it might not. So just to start with, also just so you know, my background a little bit. So I lived in England. Hopefully you can tell by my accent. I don't know if it's changed that much. Lived in England. I was one of those people that went to school and then was kind of forced into going to college. So I have a nice degree in geography and international development, which I use hardly ever. So if you're thinking about doing a degree, do it in something that you're going to pursue. I would really recommend that. Eventually, I did become a geography teacher, so I would give that advice to some of the kids, and I guess the geography degree helped a little bit with that. So yeah, I've done a little bit of teaching before. I would say I wasn't the best at it overall. I was still pretty new before I moved out to the States about 6 years ago now. So yeah, and been working in Salvation Army for 5. So yeah, just a little bit about me. And yeah, so to start, as it says on the screen, if you could give some examples of synonyms of perspective. So like words that are similar to perspective. I'll give you, Miguel, you. Point of view, excellent. Anything else? Outlook. I've got the answers if you guys don't. Yeah, that's fine. I wrote them down ahead of time, just in case. Yeah, outlook, mindset, perception, all of these things, just so you get an idea of what we're talking about. Like, a lot of the time, perspective coming from different points of view ourselves. So those are some that are similar. So outlook is a person's point of view or general attitude to life, viewpoint, mindset, and finally perception. So these are all things that are relatively similar to perspective. So I looked up then the definition of perspective, and Colin, in his dictionary, he always has a pretty good definition, and he writes that a particular perspective is a particular way of thinking about something, especially one that is influenced by your beliefs or experiences. I didn't like Colin's definition. So I made my own definition, which I think is a lot better, and that's the one we're going to use for the day. So in my definition, I put, it's your day-to-day outlook that is shaped by your experiences, friends or relationships, beliefs, genetics, and it influences how you act, react, and deal with and speak in all situations. So that was my definition. I thought it was much better. It encompasses a lot more. The interesting thing, I looked at different websites that, I don't actually open the dictionary, just the Collins Dictionary, Oxford, whichever one open. None of them said anything about genetics in there, which I thought was interesting because, at least for me, genetics, to an extent, I think it really does shape how we look at the world. So I'm just going to put this up here of how genetics shape the way that we see the world and interact with it. At least for me, these are just personal to me. I think, for example, this is a bit of a weird one. I don't put on weight that easily. Some people, they're counting calories all the time, or I'm not really deathly allergic to anything. And, we meet those people that it's like, I can't eat that, which is fine, but that really shapes how they see the world and how their perspective is. I also get tired really easily. So I found this was different to other people, especially when I got married. I'm like, it's 9 o'clock, let's go to bed. My wife's like, what are you talking about? It's only 9. So sleep is important for me. I factor that into part of my day. It changes how I act in situations. And I was saying earlier, I play soccer on a Wednesday night in the gym. Some people get really sweaty. It's disgusting, it is horrible. I brush up against them. I'm like, personally, I'm not a sweaty person. But, genetics, it plays a little bit of a role in how they see the world. At least for me, one thing that I guess my disability is colorblindness. I can't really see colors. I have no idea. Apparently there's a number in there. Can anyone tell me what the number is? 7? I have no idea. It's dots. No idea. Here's another one. Can you guys, again, I can't see a thing. 8? Is that one a little bit more difficult? Again, no idea. Sure, yeah. It looked like I trusted the website I got this from, that there was something in there. All right, hopefully these are accurate. I typed in reverse colorblind colorblind ones. So there are apparently ones that if you're colorblind, you can see them. So this one, I can clearly see. Can you guys see this? 5? Okay, then maybe they're just lying, and I felt good that I could see it, but everyone can see it. All right, fine. Can you see this one? Yeah, all right. I thought, I was like, oh, good, there's ones that I can see that other people can't see, but no, obviously not. All right. So at least for me, my genetics of the fact that I cannot see different colors, it changes how I act in different situations or how I react to things. This is the worst thing in the world. I hate it when that thing comes up. It is the most confusing thing. I really liked, I know if you noticed this, at least I noticed it, at the bottom, you see where it says hex and there's like the pound sign? Each color has its own little code. So when I am making something online, I just Google like code for blue or code for light blue, and then I put in that little hex color. So just to let you know, there's a little side. But that's something that I have to do differently because of my genetics. So what has made your perspective, we're going to take just a minute here or there to look at the 4 different things that I put. So experiences, family, friends, relationships, beliefs, genetics. What thing do you think is the most important that's shaped your perspective today? For some people it might be their family, like, oh, they had a really supportive family, or something in their family meant that has really shaped them the most. Others, it might be experiences, maybe they learned something, or maybe they went through a traumatic experience that really changed everything. It might be your beliefs, as your religious beliefs, or your genetics. So we're just going to take like about 2 or 3 minutes, quickly talk about that amongst yourselves, or figure it out, and then we'll come back and share, if you want to share. You don't have to share, but just think about it. So the main thing that we're going to focus on, and I just so you know, I did put a piece of paper on each thing with a pen. Hopefully the pen works. I didn't check all the pens. So the front page, you can write notes if you want. I can see that not many people have. Not much noteworthy said yet. But the next 2 pages we'll use later on as well. So we're going to look at these 2 examples of a growth mindset. You might have come across this before. I'll go into that in a bit, but just typically this is what a growth mindset is. Praise said, do not read from the slide. She gave all these great instructions of how to present well, but I'm going to read from the slide because that's what it is. So these 2 different things, there's nothing else to do. So growth mindset is the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed over time through effort. So that's through effort, learning, and perseverance. People with a growth mindset embrace challenges, learn from feedback, and view failures as opportunities to grow. A fixed mindset is kind of the opposite. It's the belief that abilities and intelligence are static and cannot be significantly changed. People with a fixed mindset avoid challenges, they give up easily, and feel threatened by others' success. So there's a few examples, just a nice simple example. Say there's someone and they struggle with math at school. But over time they decide to practice and seek help. They make mistakes, but then eventually they'll improve and they will get better at math. Whereas most of us, we go in and we struggle with math and we say math is hard and we want to give up and throw it away. We're never actually going to get better at math. So the idea is that you can improve in things. Obviously, we are all human. If you keep practicing the 100 meters, you're not going to be as fast as Usain Bolt. There are some things that hold us back, but we can improve in most areas, and the way that we look at it will really help to shape our perspective. So with this, I'm going to try and frame it in the way that how we can shape others, how our perspective can change other people's perspective. And especially for those of you that might be managers, or you oversee people, oversee volunteers maybe, or even those guests or clients, we can do these really simple things, hopefully, that changes their mindset, which then makes it better for all of us. So I was taught this idea of growth mindset when I was a teacher. You get taught how to teach. So I took some things on board sometimes, but not always. But this idea of growth mindset was when the kids would come into the classroom, you've got to teach them that they're like wanting to learn and wanting to get more, and that was so difficult to do. I think I taught like 150, 200 kids every week, And I think I found it mostly difficult because I didn't know their backgrounds that well. So if you get to know your staff's backgrounds or volunteers' backgrounds, you can then help as we kind of look through like experiences. If we know their experiences, we can shape that a little bit better. So I worked in a school, or the school I worked in just before I moved out, it was in a place called Pocklington, out about 10 miles outside of York, which was the next biggest city, which wasn't a very big city. So it was a very rural area. Most of the kids, they came from a rural background, which I didn't really come from. So sometimes the kids would come to school and they were super tired because they'd been up early in the morning feeding livestock or doing whatever else you do on a farm. And a lot of those kids had a really fixed mindset. They did not see a way out of their situation. They knew by the time they're 16, 17, they're working full time on the farm. That's life. But then on the flip side, you had the other kids that they were bored of this small town and they wanted to get out. Anywhere was better than where they were living right now. So every time in my class, I had those two kind of sets of people. There were some kids that wanted to do well because then they go to college and then in their mind, hopefully leave that environment. But then the others that were just very content, I've been doing this since, I've always seen my dad on the farm or my mom on the farm, and that's what I'm gonna do. So with that, I'm going to say I wasn't great at that when I was teaching, but I'm hoping that you guys will be better than I was when doing this with staff or volunteers. So there's a few statements on the screen that they seem very positive statements. You're a natural at this, you're so smart, or that's not your strength. Even though it sounds positive, they're also in a fixed mindset. Saying you're a natural at this, why would you try and improve that? If you're already natural at it, why get any better? But you could say something like, hey, your hard work and persistence are really paying off. Because then hopefully that person's thinking, if I work even harder or I persist even more, I will get even better at this. And so you're helping to shape them go a little bit further. So also saying you're so smart, well, yeah, I am smart. I don't need to do anything about that. I can just keep it there. But changing it to something like, I appreciate how you tackled the challenge and kept going. Just changing very slightly. And then finally saying that's not your strength. And we always talk about our strengths and our weaknesses. But if you say that's not your strength, then people are just for example, the scenario we said about if you're not good at math, if you just give up, you're never going to be good at it, or you never even get that small proficiency in it. So instead of saying that's not your strength, we can change it to you're still developing this skill, keep practicing and it will come. So just changing the way that you speak sometimes can really help you shape others' mindset. So a growth mindset leader fosters that environment where team members feel safe to take risks. A big thing about having a growth mindset is not being afraid to fail. Because if you are always afraid to fail, you're going to be in that fixed mindset thought. So if you shift how you communicate, you can help your team push past limitations, build confidence, and stay engaged. With that being said, shaping others starts with you. You can't expect others to improve and improve while you do not change at all. So you need to model a growth mindset yourself. Your team will adopt that mindset, hopefully, if they see you embracing challenges and learning from your failures. You've got to be aware of your own perspective, as we kind of talked about earlier. You've got to be aware of your experiences, beliefs, relationships, and how they shape how you lead. Recognizing this helps you adjust to see how you influence others and avoid letting maybe some unconscious bias affect you as well. We're gonna shape through encouragement, not limitation, create an environment of learning, and that's it. I thought there was one more. There's not. That's it. So with that, everyone plays a role in shaping that workplace culture. This one was also sponsored by Praise. So it's not just the leaders, but it's also employees as well. As we mentioned, you can't change your past, you can't change what you've done, but what we now do from the point that we're at, we can change that. So these are the very typical ones of, is it glass half full or half empty? Are you optimistic or pessimistic? Do you see things as challenges or do you see them as obstacles? An example of this, and what I want you guys to do is kind of think how far you fit on the left side of glass half full, optimistic, or challenges, and how far you fit on the right side. You can't be 100% optimistic all the time. My brother and I, we both had season tickets to go see the mighty Charlton Athletic Football Club, and most Saturdays we would take the bus to see the game. In comparison to my brother, I was super optimistic. Every week, we'd talk about like, oh, who do you think's going to win? I was like, we're going to win, obviously. And it doesn't matter who the opponent was, I was always optimistic that we'd win the game. However, my brother was much more optimistic if we would make the bus or not on the way to the game. I was very pessimistic. I'm like, oh, we got to go now. He's like, oh, I'm not ready. We got time. We missed the bus a few times, but our team definitely lost more than we missed the bus. So, you can be optimistic in certain scenarios, maybe at home or something in your family, you're super optimistic, but at work, you're a bit more pessimistic. So just take maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and you can talk to others as well. Try and think percentage-wise, how far you fit on the left of like that optimistic, glass half full, everything's a challenge, I'm going to overcome, or how far you fit on the other side. So you might be like 60-40, 80-20, 95-5, I doubt it, but just try and take a few minutes and think about that. Yeah, 70%, 80%. Whoa, Andre, no way. Yeah. Anyone think they're over 90%? Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. I wish I was. I'd say I'm probably maybe 60-40, a bit more optimistic, but yeah, pretty pessimistic. Is anyone only 40% optimistic? We'll go the other way. Darren? Yeah. You've had some experiences, Darren. Anyone 30%? Anyone want to admit they're 30%? No? Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on. So everyone plays, and so now it's what you do that can change your perspective. So this next slide is called Perspective in Time. Good. Claire did it. I was waiting for an ooh from everyone, so I'll try it again. Perspective in time. Ooh. Yeah, that was better. Good. Yeah. So it's really easy to come to these trainings, listen to someone, get some food, and then leave. But changing is hard, or actually taking something on board or learning something is hard. I was talking to Major Jenny just now. Major Jenny knows a lot of French. I learned French at school. French was hard. I didn't try. I didn't put the effort in. And even anything like what we're talking today, it is hard. This won't come naturally. If you're like, oh, I want to have like this optimistic growth mindset, you're still going to get into situations and go, oh, this is boring, or I don't want to do that, or that guy's being annoying. Those thoughts are still going to go into your head. So what we really need to do, and it could be willpower, it could be just through practice of doing this, we need to then change how we act in those situations. So we're still going to have those thoughts. It's still going to be very natural for us to think like, oh, this guy's late again, or this is happening, this person's not helping us. So change is hard. And I wrote this down. I thought it was genius, but maybe it's not. So sometimes you need to change your perspective to change your perspective. It's like Inception this, you've got to go lower in. So I don't know if you guys read the Bible. I read it sometimes, and sometimes it's so confusing. And I've been to a lot of Bible studies, and a lot of the time, it convicts you to change. Like there's something in there that you realize like, like maybe I don't give enough, maybe I don't serve enough, or I shouldn't be doing this thing, I should be doing something else. You get that conviction to change. And sometimes it doesn't make sense to me why I should change. I'm pretty comfortable in the way I'm doing it. I'm still giving where I can, or giving what I can to my perspective. But a lot of the time, I need to take that step back. And pretty much every time I said in Bible study, it always comes to me that I need to look at things from a heavenly perspective, or this perspective that my life is not an earthly life of 60, 70, 80, 90 years, maybe 100, who knows. That's not going to be my life is eternity. So my decisions that I make now have an eternal perspective. And that just always kind of like, it really makes me refocus and think of things slightly differently. So a lot of the time when we have decisions to make, or we're going to say different things, we need to take a step back and try and see the bigger picture. Is getting in that argument now, is that going to help in the long run? Or sometimes we think some things are really, really important. And then even the next day, you look back at it and you go, that wasn't that important. Or a week later, or a year later, and you don't even remember that thing because it wasn't actually that important. But also, sometimes you see it on the flip side as well. Sometimes small decisions are really important, and we don't realize it yet. I think, at the shelter, if you guys break a rule for one person, and then the very next week you think, oh, no big deal, we'll just let that guy do whatever. But then the next week someone else comes up to you and says, oh, last week you broke the rule for that guy. And you're like, ah, great. You're like, it didn't seem like that important. So we've got to have a little bit of discernment sometimes. But all the time, if we take that step back, I honestly think that really helps our perspective. We can see the whole picture, then it will really help us make those correct decisions. So with the idea of making decisions, on your piece of paper, the staple is in the complete wrong part. This is the second time I've done this. It said top left when I printed it, but obviously it's the complete opposite. So there's some scenarios. Do this in twos, do it on your own, whatever you want to do. You don't have to do 1 to 9. You can skip them. You can be like, I want to do number 2, number 7, number 4, whatever you want. But just kind of go through those scenarios. On each of them, they have like a fixed mindset perspective, and then underneath it's got like a growth mindset action, like, or how could you change that perspective? So we'll do the first one together just so we've got it all going. So the first one is feedback miscommunication. A supervisor provides constructive criticism, but the employee feels personally attacked. The fixed mindset perspective is the employee's view. I've tried my best, but I'm clearly not good enough. I'll never get this right. The supervisor's point of view is I've given them feedback, but they're just not getting it. They don't seem to want to improve. So what could the employee think differently? Has anyone got an idea? I can just give you the answer too. All right, I'll give you the answer. That's fine. Yeah, you guys can make it easy for yourself. Don't work too hard. All right. So the employee could think like, oh, the feedback is an opportunity for them to learn and grow. So as employees, we kind of need to take it on, it's going to be better for us and better for our mental health, I'm sure, if we think that way, like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to grow, and then maybe they need to seek clarification of how to make it better. Does anyone want to give a stab of what the supervisor's growth mindset view could be? Yeah, great. All right, yeah, that kind of thing. We'll only take like 2 or 3 minutes because I don't want us to go over 1 o'clock doing this. And yeah, so take a few minutes, chat to each other if you want, discuss it. Hopefully they're somewhat relevant to your programs. You can flick through to see some might be more or less relevant to you. So yeah, just a couple minutes. 2, 1. Yay. Look at that. All right. We will quickly come back together. Is there any... Darren just looks like such a good student, He's looking this way, making good eye contact. I just want to pick on him now and be like, hey, Darren, which one did you do? The glasses are there, He looks like he knows what he's doing. So what was the growth mindset actions that you thought for both the employee and the supervisor in that? Yeah, I'd say, yeah, no, I think that's great. Anything I'd add, like recognition and also like maybe feedback or opportunities for growth or development, just keep them in that growth mindset, like method that it's not like, oh, you're great. And it's like, oh, I won't do any more. Like give them a little bit so they can keep going. Anyone else? Anyone want to share? If not, if I know your name, then yeah, it's fair game. Sandra. Number 3. What was that one? Resistance to change. This never happens, I'm sure, but go ahead. Yeah. No, I think that's a good one as well, because it's not, a lot of the time we have policies in Salvation Army, if you guys didn't know. And when they change and they don't make sense, like they don't make sense, and then I'm sure sometimes the supervisor's like, yeah, it doesn't really make sense to me, you're just passing it down the chain. So having that positive way of thinking like, oh, it's a new system, let's see how this can improve actually what we do, instead of like, this is going to take us days to learn this, which it probably will, and it's going to slow things down at the beginning, but hopefully improve maybe efficiency in some scenarios. Yeah, so I think that's a big one that we look at all the time, right? We're going to finish off. So how can you change your perspective? So I'm going to flash these up pretty quickly, and you guys can look at them. So you can embrace challenges, and if you need an eye test, this is part of it too. I'll briefly read them. Embrace challenges, learn from criticism, celebrate effort, adapt to failure, focus on progress, believe in potential, ask for feedback, keep learning, stay positive, take initiative, encourage others, and embrace change. So just to finish off, and you can do it on the front page, try and write down 3 things, if you can even read these from the list. Try and write down 3 things that you can maybe proactively do. So maybe that's embracing change, or to try and keep learning. If you guys look at the prior learning, this month I want to be top. I want to take Van down. She is not going to be top this month. It's going to be me. I think I've done like 12 courses already. Yeah, let's go, Van. So it is true. I did one on growth mindset. I'll share it with you guys. So yeah, just write down 3. You can discuss with others. Yeah, exactly. The unoptimistic people. Darren, you just written 1 down? No, just kidding. All right. Oh, there was one more. Self-reflection. I guess none of us need that. None of us need that. It's fine. Yeah. That one's for Robert. Okay, so what have we lunched and learned? I should have put Mediterranean food. I didn't. So hopefully we've done all of those things. We've had lunch. We recognized how we're shaped, so where we're coming from, understanding why perspective is important in each day-to-day activity, realize how our perspectives can help shape others, and also evaluate our own perspective and see if it needs changing. See if there's anything that we can slightly do to change things. So with that, you guys have completed this Lunch and Learn training. Praise wanted me to show you this very lovely QR code and ask if you could scan it and do whatever it says at scanning it. Fill in the form afterwards, and Praise is going to hand out some certificates.
All right, so this QR code is actually the link for you to upload your certificate for completing this training, and your certificates are being passed down. So if you can grab yours as it's being passed down from your right.